Today we're making the iconic peanut sauce, the condiment most famous for accompanying satay skewers. And we start by toasting the star of the show, the peanuts. As we gently bring in some heat, 4 amazing things are happening here. First, we have the Maillard reaction, which produces complex roasted flavors and reinforce their natural nuttiness. The natural sugars in the peanuts starts to caramelize, giving you a deeper, more complex sweetness and a slight burnt note. And through heat, we're evaporating the water content of the peanuts, concentrating their flavors. And just like toasting dry spices, the heat also releases the essential oils, making them more aromatic. One tiny step, one giant leap. 4 to 5 minutes. Of course, if you're doing this for a weekday meal, buy toasted peanuts. And I like to break them in half just to increase the surface area in contact with the hot pan. They break apart much easier when they're being toasted. So that's why we're doing it now. Perfect. Stove off and we let them cool down slightly to prevent clumping. Pour some water and we go. The objective of the exercise here is to form a coarse paste. You still want to maintain that signature texture you associate with the famous sauce, and through the pounding and grinding motions, we're further puncturing the cell walls, releasing even more flavors. But if you're doing this for a weekday meal, use a food processor. The dish is flavorsome enough. Perfect. Now, normally you would saute your aromatics and start building your sauce, but knowing we will be using coconut milk later, we take a page out of the coconut-based Thai curry techniques by making a paste with our aromatics, with a bit of the peanuts, and cooking the paste in the coconut milk to make the most out of all ingredients. We reserve about 70% of our peanut paste, and we save this for the aromatics. Now, some shallots, mostly for sweetness. Should have done it in the beginning. Like most pastes, the more you do here, the less you do there. So it's up to you. Garlic for some pungency and depth. Given the short cooking time, not much of the caramelized sweetness would come through. Red chili for the heat. As usual, we remove the seeds for texture, remove the ribs to have more control over sweetness. And this, of course, is really to taste. As usual, use this as a guideline and throw in whatever you like. For example, ginger for some zesty freshness and a bit of a different kick. This time the puncturing of the cell walls really makes a difference. So if you do use a food processor, bruise them with the back of your knife before throwing them in. And by saving some peanuts here, A, we get more friction, and B, we get to build layers of peanut flavors. And speaking of friction, we start salting here. Perfect. Coarse peanuts, fine aromatics. Now we can cook. Same pan, keeping all the essential oils and any excuse to not do the washing. We add a generous layer of the coconut milk and we bring in some heat to split the coconut milk. This would evaporate almost all the water content from the coconut milk, giving us on one hand coconut oil, on the other coconut solids. And we'll toast our paste with the coconut solids to give us even more nutty richness. The coconut cream itself would give us all the creaminess, and by using this method we use a lot less fat in total, making this a richer, creamier but lighter sauce. And all you have to do is you first simmer this, stirring periodically so that the bottom doesn't catch. After about 5 minutes you have this really thick consistency. We add our paste, and once again through heat we evaporate the water content from our aromatics and whatever water content we haven't evaporated from our coconut milk to further concentrate their flavors to form our aromatic base. And if at any point the bottom starts to catch too fast for your liking, add a touch more coconut milk to buy yourself more time and to give yourself more flavors. Now, once there's not much steam coming out and you can see a very thin layer of fond developing at the bottom of the pan, we reintroduce our peanut paste for the flavors to really mix together. Now, here I've mixed some tamarind paste with some warm water for about 10 minutes. This will bring the signature tangy sharpness you associate with the sauce. But for dipping sauce, I understand this is a huge ask shopping wise. So use tamarind concentrate, tamarind juice. If all fails, Worcestershire sauce and a bit of lime juice. And this would start deglassing the pan, mopping up all those flavors. And normally I always advocate adding your acidic component towards the end of cooking. But here, we're adding this earlier than usual for the purpose to mellow down that sharpness, to really let the peanut be the star of the show. Now we simply top up with a bit more coconut milk or water at this point to form our sauce and to further deglass the pan. A bit of water just for consistency. Now we taste and adjust the seasoning with some salt, some optional sugar. You can throw in some fish sauce or sweet soy sauce for even more umami. And we let this simmer for about 5 minutes for the flavors to really mix together. And after 5 minutes, you have a very peanut-forward peanut sauce.